Tevin, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me. How's it going?
Doing well, brother. Doing well. So, for people that don't know you and your story, give us a spark notes. Who you are, where you coming from, what are you up to now?
Yeah, so my name's Tevin. I go by T-Walk the Hawk on social media. I teach holistic health and I also teach finances also. So I built my business online through social media, different platforms, by learning how to market myself, by, of course, learning how to speak on camera, and then coming up with some products to sell that are actually going to help people and change their lives. So I sell ebooks. I have a university, healthandfinanceuniversity.com. That's where I charge $29 a month to teach people everything they need to know about health and about 10 different streams of income. So that's how I built my business to 6 figures per month. That's about where I'm at right now. And I'm from a small town in West Virginia, high school dropout, labeled ADHD, ADD, LD, they wanted to put me on Ritalin, had severe anxiety, panic attacks to the point I couldn't leave the house, constantly rushed to the hospital. Grew up in a family of guns, drugs. My father was a crackhead. My brother was selling crack to my dad, who was a crackhead and one of the most well-known dealers in the town. Domestic abuse, so I come from a lot of trauma. So I use that, and I feel like most people gravitate towards those things. Yeah. I did the opposite. So I've never done any drugs. I've never sold. I've never had any illegal activities, been in jail, anything like that. And I kind of just took the clean road, and it's been a grind, ups and downs, and I ended up here, which is a good spot to be in. So I tell my story to show people that no matter what you come from, you can make something happen. That's really it.
Dude, I love it. I love it. There's a lot of cool pieces of that journey that I'm sure we'll end up diving into. Yeah, and some things that we talked about beforehand that before we press record that I'm sure we'll dive into as well in terms of some of your sales upbringing and stuff like that. So growing up in West Virginia, by the way, I also have my own journey with anxiety and panic attacks. It happened a little bit later on in life, so I can relate to that. And I'm sorry you went through that, because it is not fun.
Yeah, it's definitely not.
I've been there. At what age did that type of stuff start for you?
That started around the severe attack started around 17, but always growing up, I always stayed to myself. I was very introverted. I never went to homecoming, never went to prom, anything like that, because I was so scared to be around people. But I started getting those severe anxiety attacks and passing out around 17. That's when my first one happened, all the way up until about 25 or so. And then I always worked in a warehouse because I was scared to be around people. So I'm like, maybe if I work in a warehouse and I just drive a forklift and throw boxes, I don't have to be around people. I don't have to do sales meetings, anything like that. So I did that for 7 years or so. My last one was at Ecolab for 4 years. And I'm like, all right, I've been here 4 years. It's time I can't keep living like this. I'm not getting the progress I want. So I threw myself right into the fire, and I took a sales job. I'm at a gym because I've always been into health and fitness. So I had to do in-person consultations and things like that, which my first few, I'm super nervous. I'm stuttering. I'm getting my supervisor to finish it. But doing that through repetition, now it's what I do for a living. And if you can learn sales, then you can sell anything. And that's going to be key to your success in entrepreneurship.
Couldn't agree more. Dude, I was literally ranting last night on my Instagram story because I saw a post about how I think it was this time around, it was Meta, Facebook was cutting 11,000 jobs, something like that.
Yeah, I seen that. Yep.
10-15% of their workforce. And I was ranting about how the internet was freaking talking shit about Elon and saying how Elon Musk was this horrible person for cutting jobs at Tesla. And now every company is doing it. And essentially I use that to paint the picture of dude, get your house in order. And now's the time to build recession-proof skill sets.
Exactly.
Sales is the most. Everybody needs salespeople, right? We could tell the story about how there's going to be this or that in the economy or whatever the hell's going on, but products need to be sold. Economies don't just halt.
That's a fact.
If we can learn to sell, it's the best way to put ourselves in that position. So
yeah.
When you were starting this, because that was actually, I'm glad you immediately went into the sales part of your journey, because I was really curious about that. It's for people like you and I who are I would use the label social anxiety. Like for me, I always thought I was introverted until I really learned what it meant. And then I realized that I thrived around people. I was just really fucking awkward until the ice was broken.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Same here.
So it was like I'm extroverted, but there's like super like tons of social anxiety. So there's this weird balance for me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Um, how did you solely break through that by just like going and diving into the fire and just being like, fuck it, I gotta figure it out?
Uh, for the most part, how I broke out of my anxiety was literally just being fed up. Like I always tell like all my supporters online, like do something about it. My phrase is do what you got to do because it's that simple. So I knew what I had to do.
Yeah.
It's simple. Most people know what they have to do, but they won't do it. So until you do something, life is always I used to get bullied too. So I used to get bullied. I faced a lot of racism in West Virginia. I'm white and black mixed. So I was never like white enough for my white friends, never black enough for my black friends. So with that being said, like I used to get bullied. They would hold my hands behind my back, punch me in the face, things like that, because they knew at that time they could do it. And then I started tapping into myself and one day being fed up and actually doing something about it. And I had to smack a couple people. And at that point, I don't want to be a tough guy or anything, but I was fed up. So at that point, no one ever bullied me again. It wasn't that I was beating everybody up. It's just, oh, he's actually going to stand up for himself and not let us do this to him. So everything is about taking action and doing something about it. So yeah, with the sales job also, like I'm like, if I want to be successful, if I want my dream car, if I want to take care of my mom, take care of my family, take care of my nieces and nephews, drive the car I want, live in the place I want, with the weather I want, in the house I want, I'm not getting it at this job making $20 per hour, right? Getting 30-cent raises every single year, being told when I can eat lunch, when I have mandatory overtime. I'm not happy. I don't like my boss. I don't like my coworkers. So I got to do something about it. So I actually took the sales job as a personal training sales manager at a gym that was actually 3 hours away from me. So I literally was driving 3 hours. That's not including traffic. So many days I would leave at 5 a.m. just to get there right on time to punch the clock at 9 a.m. and then work 12-hour shifts, then drive back. And I was doing that 6 days a week. So I was very determined to like just make something happen and do something.
Imagine doing that today with today's gas prices. That'd be wild.
I know, right? Yeah.
That'd be wild.
I didn't have that much money back then. So the gas was cheaper, but it still was breaking me. It still was I still wasn't making what I wanted. Yeah,
proportionally. You need to have one of like the old school Teslas that before they upgraded where you get the unlimited charge.
Yeah.
That's funny. Shit, I just lost my question. I completely lost my question. It'll come back to me. So during your childhood, like when you were coming up, you mentioned that you just took a completely different route. Talk to me about like what pushed you down that route when a lot of the people you were surrounded by went like the opposite direction at that fork in the road.
I always analyze things. So in my head, even as a kid, like I'm watching my brother, do these illegal activities, always be nervous that the cops are going to run into the house, things like that. People ran into the house, put guns to his head, made him get on the ground, robbed us all the time. So me seeing you do that, my thought process instead of, oh, I want to do that to make quick money is I just don't want to do that. I don't want to put my life at risk. I don't want to put my freedom at risk. Watching my father on drugs, I see how he's acting, never kept a job, never had really a car, never had his own house. I don't want to grow up and be a 40-year-old, 50-year-old man like that, right? Or watching him hit my mom. To this day, I get very offended by people who hit women because it's like everything I've seen, I want to make sure that I do the opposite because even as a kid, I knew those things were wrong, which most of us, we know these things are wrong, but we let peer pressure get to us. There's been many times when people hand me, drugs and things like that. And I always said no. So I've never done a drug. I've never been drunk. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I don't know if it's something that's just in me, but I believe it's really just about who you're around and what you listen to. Because I was around negative things, but I was always searching for positive things and mentors. Even at the time, I wasn't investing in mentors, but I was always on YouTube. I was always Googling. I was always listening to motivational speakers. Even when I knew nothing about real estate, I would find myself watching hours of Grant Cardone videos. I didn't know what the hell he was talking about, but I knew that he was saying some stuff that could make me progress in the future. So I always was listening to tons of different people online, which mentored me into the right mindset. I would say that was the key.
that was going to be my question. Cause like oftentimes, regardless of what the environment is that we're growing up in, like sometimes that's all we know. And
Mm-hmm.
my question was going to be like, what was it inside of you that like saw that other path, even though it was so different from what you were used to? Like sometimes that's the reason people just stay on the path, even though they feel like it's wrong.
Right.
Was it just that you had access to the internet and like that YouTube was a thing as you were coming out? Like was that the piece that opened the door?
That was definitely key because I was even talking to my brother, and again, he's out of all that now. He actually changed his whole life around. I'm really
Oh,
proud of him for
nice.
that. So all his other friends are dead or in jail. He's literally the only one who never went to jail, never got caught, and then cleaned up his life. So I didn't have any positive role models around though, but I believe my brother was important because he was a hustler. So it taught me the hustle, but I just chose the legal route of doing it versus the illegal route. And then with YouTube coming along, I was always watching Eric Thomas. Thank God it's Monday. So every Monday I would go into my warehouse job, try to talk to my employees and say, "Did you watch it?" And they don't want to hear it, right? But I think YouTube was a key factor. But me, I've always been into music too. So I think music was a big factor because I'm really into like hip hop. So I always gravitate towards songs that are about making it out or what they've been through. I love Eminem. So his story was,
Yeah.
I can relate to that. He got bullied, right? He got
Mhm.
bullied, always beat up. He had drugs in his household. And hearing like songs from him talking about coming from that and how you could make it. So I really keyed in on songs on YouTube that just inspired me to think different. I always listen to that versus songs about just going to the club and popping bottles and spending money. And
Yeah.
like, that was never. So I think those are all key factors that contributed to my mindset.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting that because that latter part that you just mentioned, like that's what most people talk about with respect to
Yeah, it's true.
most music nowadays, rap, hip hop, especially. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm the same way, dude. Like it's, I always found like I found myself straying towards those gems with respect to music,
Mm-hmm.
and, nowadays I listen, especially in the gym, because it needs to be a little angry if I'm gonna lift heavy ass weight,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's a lot of like NF
Oh
or
yes, it's one of my favorites.
and you know who I listen to a lot of is Nefx. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that properly,
Never heard
but
of him.
he's like and I listen to a lot of Russ. He's
Yeah.
adopting a lot of like Russ's old school mindset of like
Okay.
a video every week, a video
Yeah.
a song every week, right? So every single week it's on my Spotify release radar, but it's like the dude's like a motivational speaker in like music that's like
In music.
somewhat like electronic, but like
Okay.
he raps over like the dub type of beats.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all that like positive messaging, right?
Yeah, no, that
So,
makes sense. Yeah, Russ is one of my favorites. He has a song, "Do It Myself." I don't
yep,
need, I'll do it myself, or
so good.
manifestation, right? Right, manifesting that song. So those
Yeah,
are songs that are key to my mindset. Like I'm not just, I do a
critical.
walk on the beach every single day, and I listen to stuff like that. I listen to Bob Proctor. I listen to all these people who are speaking positivity and knowledge.
The greats. I love it. How did you come across that at first? Like did you just stumble upon it on YouTube? Or were you like typing in like success or something like
No, you
that?
you know what's funny is I would find myself spending my free time back in those days, right? Doing things that weren't productive. So
Mm,
you probably, I don't know if you heard of it or if your audience has, but World Star Hip Hop, it was
yeah,
like
dude, I'm
super
from New
viral.
York. Like,
Okay, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So it was nothing but fighting and twerk
Yeah.
videos and just
The
nonsense,
six
right?
train up and down Manhattan.
But in that, I would always find like there may be one video that's like motivation of the week. And I think that's
Yeah.
where I found Eric Thomas. And then that's literally where I found CT Fletcher, for those of y'all that work out.
Yep.
He's a super motivational. He had a video on there. So I always would find through all the nonsense, I always would just find that one video. And that's where I found him. That's where I found Eric Thomas. That's where I found so many different people that shaped my mindset. So it took
So
me,
funny.
it took me tuning into the nonsense to find the good stuff.
Yeah, dude, it's so funny. And that's why I asked the question. Like it always starts with something that's like so off, like whether it's just like typing a random word into a search engine or like,
Yeah.
dude, anybody that knows world, like people know everyone's screaming world star in the back of like
Right.
any brawl in New York City,
Exactly.
or like most of those videos happen on the 6 train, like
Yeah.
at 3 a.m. You know, like that used to be the train I would take every single day when I lived in the city,
Oh,
up and
wow.
down the heart of Manhattan. Shit was crazy.
Hey, you made it out.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I was taking it from the Upper East Side to Wall Street, so like it wasn't the worst areas, but
Yeah.
like you go a little bit further up later on at night, that's where World Star videos come from.
That
Um,
makes sense.
so okay, so you're watching these videos, you get into the warehouse job. It sounds like the first pivotal piece was getting into the sales role,
Hmm.
and starting to break through a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, what did the journey look like from the sales role to where you're at right now, where I'm really curious about the holistic wellness side of things, and
Yeah.
especially around, you know, the scalable online business, which is a world that we live in as well. So I'm curious the approach you're taking there, but what did the next couple steps of the journey look like?
Yeah, so career-wise, I started in warehouses again because I was scared to be around people. Then I took that leap and said I need to get into sales so I can get around people, and I knew I needed to learn sales. So I did that job driving 3 hours one way, or sorry, each way, as a personal training sales manager. That was at a Gold's Gym, and then from there I became like one of the top salespeople. I was pretty good, but I was always so focused on wanting to have my own thing, and I wanted to get big on the internet because I felt that's where I could reach more people with what I wanted to teach at the time. So even though I would do good in sales, I would do good some months and then other months would drop because I would go home and be so focused on what videos, what content I needed to record, right? And then my boss would be like, what's going on? So then I end up leaving that job because I knew I was about to get fired. I ended up becoming a general manager at Lifetime Athletics, which was still a lot of sales, membership sales, and I was doing personal training sales there. So I learned some more sales skills there. And then I ended up going back to that other gym because I liked it so much and they wanted me back. I told them I was refocused. Same thing happened again, didn't work. And then I'm like, all right, I need more money. This is sales, but these deals are only personal training deals, maybe 1,000 to 4,000. So the commission isn't really enough for what I dream of making. That's when I got into the company New Look selling. We sold roofing, gutters, doors, and windows. So I started learning that. I knew nothing about any of that, right? So they gave me the pitch. I learned a lot of sales from that because door to door, like we talked about, they say that's the hardest one. So I would go in,
You earn your stripes, man.
Yeah, you're just sitting in the living room with people that don't know you, and you show up and you got your shingles and stuff, and you're giving your presentation. So I did that. Got a few good, same thing. Did real good. Became one of the top people, dropped again. Then I switched to solar panels. I did solar panels. Same thing again. But this one, I quit because they stopped giving me leads and I wasn't allowed to get my own leads. It was like a new startup company.
Weird.
Yeah. So
usually it's the opposite. Like you got to go and self-gen a ton before they even give you. They're not going to burn leads on a newbie,
Yeah, they brought me right in, giving me leads, and then they just stopped giving me leads, and there was nothing I could do about it. So from there, that was in Utah. Mind you, during this time, I'm moving from West Virginia, driving to Maryland. Then I ended up moving to Utah after my wife divorced me, which was a key point because I was about to be homeless because of that. And one of the key reasons she divorced me was because I was so focused on these videos. When she wanted to just relax and watch movies, I'm like, I got to do these videos because I know it's going to work. I know it's going to work. And if she would have waited like 3-4 months, she would have got to live the life I'm living now, right? But that's besides the point. So then I moved to Utah. I'm living with a girlfriend there. And then I moved to California. And in Utah, before I moved to California, I became a general manager at EOS Fitness. Okay. And this is when everything changed because at that point, TikTok had came out. And I had always listened to Gary Vaynerchuk. And he kept talking like TikTok is the next thing. If you get on it early, you can blow up. And I get on it. I'm like, all right, it's kids dancing. What am I going to do? I'm like, okay, I'm going to listen to him. I'm going to take his advice. I'm going to be the first person teaching holistic health on there while everybody else is dancing. And I was posting. I would lock myself in the garage in Utah and post 20 videos every single day. So I'm like recording, edit in 10 minutes, post. Next topic, record, edit, post 20 videos per day. My TikTok blew up. People started asking me, hey, can you help me lose weight? Can you help me get my blood pressure down? I like your videos. I'm like, yeah, I do custom coaching, just kind of made it up.
Yeah.
I'm like, they're like, how much? I'm like, $40. So at that point, I was in the office at EOS Fitness, and I'm like, based on what I was making, it was like 1,400 maybe every 2 weeks after taxes. I
Yeah.
broke it down on my phone. I'm like, all right, that's about $85 per day. So if I can just sell two people, if I can get two people to believe in me for this online program I'm selling, then I can potentially quit my job. So that's what happened. I got to like 4 people in a day, $160 per day, and I took the risk. I didn't have anything in my savings. I'm like, I'm quitting. I think I figured it out. And then from there, it was record-breaking months every month from there.
Got it. Okay. So
Oh, it's a lot.
no, but dude, there's so much gold in there. So, I mean, key points. I'm just going to speak this out loud. So hopefully I remember and we could dive into all of them.
Yeah.
Number one, it sounds like the divorce was pivotal. Number two, getting back into fitness, but leveraging TikTok. Some solar in there, which is interesting because solar and roofing is where our client base primarily comes from. Yeah. So let's start there. Like how much you mentioned that it was like 3 to 4 months after the divorce that things started to really take off. Like, how much did that impact your drive? Like, what role did that play in your journey? What did that all look like?
Well, the divorce was pivotal because, I thought I had, we was together like almost 10 years. So of course things got rocky, but the reason they get rocky is because the finances is down. I'm struggling to pay rent now. Like I said, I'd be good in sales 1 month and the next month I'm like, I don't know if we can go out to eat this month. You know what I mean? And again, I was so focused on making the internet stuff work that I understand why someone will be like, that's a crazy dream. I get it, especially when we're struggling, but I had such a vision that I knew I was going to make it work. So I wanted her to have more faith in me. And then on top of that, a key thing is she really wanted to have a kid. Like she was really pushing to have a kid. And my mindset is like, I'm unsuccessful. I don't have money. I don't want my kid to grow up not being able to experience everything that he wants in life. So I'm like, I'm not having a kid right now. I don't care. Like, I guess you're going to have to divorce me because that's not going to be right. And that's not what I want my life to be. So that's essentially what happened. I was about to be homeless because like 2 weeks after she told me that, she actually divorced me and came with the papers and moved out and just left me with the rent by myself. We were splitting it at the time. So I couldn't afford it by myself. So I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to shower at the gym and then act like I'm leaving. I'm fully planning being homeless and living in my car. So that was very pivotal things for my life. But the stress, like you said, it drove me to make sure I made something happen. So I just went harder on the videos. And mind you, during all this time, I'm leaving out during that whole breakdown. I left out the parts where I started getting mentors. So I don't know if you want me to go into that yet or where you want to go with it.
Yeah, no, I mean, dive into that. What did that look like?
Yeah. So when I was at the gym, when I first got into sales, I found a guy online and he was teaching online personal training sales, how you could do it online. The nice pictures where you're laying in the park with your laptop, and that got my attention, right? So I got a horrible loan for like $5,000, horrible APR because I had terrible credit. I went to like 30 different loan offices to try and get an approval. I eventually did, gave it to him. It didn't work. Yeah, it was a lot of information, but for whatever reason, it didn't work for me. So for like a year, I'm like, man, I can't believe I gave this person 5,000 and it's just not working right now, right? So that happened. Then we fast forward to EOS Fitness before I quit that job and TikTok. So Gary Vee was talking about TikTok, but then this YouTuber came along. I wanted to say his name is Robert Franklin, I wanted to say, on YouTube. He has a whole YouTube channel dedicated to the algorithm of TikTok. So he was making a video, like 3 videos per week. The new hashtag strategy. How long should your videos be? What audio should you use? So everything he was saying, I was taking notes in my phone. Then he said, I have mentorship. I'll overview your page. I'll tell you exactly what to do for your audience. I think it was like $80. So I paid him. From there, my TikTok went from like 5,000 followers to now it's at 800,000 followers. So that helped.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It's crazy.
Yeah, so
you post a lot. You weren't kidding. Respect, dude.
Yeah, I posted a lot. So I went hard with that. So that's 2 mentors. I bought this book for like $250, and that was my first month making 100,000 in a month. He gave this one play in the book, and I took it and I went so hard with it. And I made 100,000 that month. So that really worked. On top of that, I got a mentor on stocks, on crypto. I started making good side money with options trading, with day and swing trading. With crypto, I got into Ethereum when it was like $252 per coin. At that time, I couldn't even afford a full coin. I got like $100 worth, but then eventually that went up to what, like $4,000 last year at the peak.
Yeah.
So, and I had a bunch of coins at that time, so I made a bunch of money off of that. So I've just been getting a lot of mentors. My most recent 2 mentors, I paid him $50,000. That was to teach social media marketing. From there, that's when when I got that mentor, that's when I consistently started making 100,000 per month. Because when I made the 100,000 per month the first time, I dipped right back to like 10, 20,000 per month. Yeah. And then I got that new mentor for 50,000. And that's when I learned all these little tricks I didn't know about. And that's when it was 100,000 per month consistently. And then my most recent one was Airbnb's. The last one, I paid her over $100,000 to teach me how to get Airbnb, set them up without even touching them and everything like that. Pretty much done for you. And now I just got 5 new Airbnbs in the past like 60 days, some in Dominican Republic and different areas of the US.
Dang. Okay. For the social media side of things, is TikTok still the major channel for you?
Not at all. TikTok does nothing. So really? That goes into what you were talking about, how wanted to express the ups and downs. So yeah. TikTok was going crazy for me. I was getting I was waking up to no less than 200 new DMs every single day. And I had a whole script of what I was going to say. Yeah. So I was just copy and pasting because I already know what they're going to ask me for when it comes to helping my programs. Yeah. And then all the like censorship started happening. And I teach holistic health. So it's kind of like when you're telling people they can heal naturally with herbs and things like that, even though I'm posting testimonials, social media, I've learned, doesn't like that at all, right?
I was scrolling and I just saw Dr. Sebi and I'm like, I know exactly where you're going. Yeah.
Yeah. So those that know about it. I even thought that it was like maybe conspiracy theory when I first started getting into it until it actually hit me. So they just at the snap of a finger in like I would say a week period at the most, I went from getting thousands of DMs per week to maybe 1 per week. Like it was crazy. And I'm panicking at this time because at this point I've built my lifestyle up a little bit. I quit my job. So then I transitioned to Instagram because at this time I'm not posting on Instagram. So I started taking all those videos, like 6,000 plus videos, reposting them on Instagram and redoing content there, running the boost post ads because I didn't know how to do Facebook ads, and it started working again. Mm-hmm. So yeah, TikTok makes me no money right now. It's all through Instagram.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's basically all through Instagram. And then now I've learned how I need to set up these different streams of passive income. So because I never want to have to be active again to make money. My goal is to make as much money and have as much freedom as possible at the same time. I don't like having meetings. I don't like having anything. I do interviews and I do content. That's it.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Instagram's our platform as well. I built everything off of Instagram because that's where our clients were, but it's interesting and it's really cool to hear about that pivot because I think people are opening their eyes to it, but I feel like it's a still very common misconception that people see a large follower count and they think $1 million business. Right. Yeah. And you actually have it, but not because of the crazy followers on TikTok.
Not at all. Not at all.
Like it might have started there, but you had to rebuild it, which is really cool. Talk to me about the consistency piece, because I think at least I can relate. Like early in my journey, it was like massive peak and then like dropping back to like being over here and then like massive peak. And then the floor was a little bit higher. Like what you mentioned, you hired that one mentor and then all of a sudden the 100K months became the norm. Mm-hmm. What were some of the little shifts that, because it's usually, you and I know, like it's not the crazy shit. It's like the little simple things that you do consistently that lead to it. What were some of those pieces that like really changed the game for you as you built that consistency at those peaks?
Yeah. So some of the key pieces for those of you wanting to build your business off of social media is I'll give you some quick things. Like the main things I implemented that I didn't know anything about was overnight posts, which is essentially like infomercials. Because if you leave the TV on at night and you wake up, it's going to be infomercial. Somebody selling jewelry, somebody selling something, some product that you didn't originally think you needed. And then you realize, oh, I kind of do need that, right? So I started setting up automatic posting. So I would take my best like testimonials or my best poster for, let's say, my ebook or for my course. And now me at the time, this is before I had a virtual assistant, but that's something else, right? I started scheduling the post. So I would post one post every night at 10 p.m., 12 midnight, 2 a.m., 4 a.m., 6 a.m., and 9 a.m. So now that's 6 to 7 additional posts every single day for people that may follow me from different countries on a different time zone, or the people that may work night shift and may be up in the lunchroom on their lunch break watching that. So that was a key thing. That was one. Two was what I just mentioned, getting a virtual assistant. That way I could get my time back, pay a virtual assistant maybe $1,000, $1,500 a month, so they can schedule all the videos for me. They can respond to all the DMs for me. They can do all the posting for me. They can post on my story for me. They can screenshot testimonial comments for me. Whatever I need them to do, I'm putting as much on them as possible to do that.
Yeah.
That was key. And then shout out pages. So I didn't realize there were so many pages that are in the same niche as you, whatever it is that you're looking to pursue. You go to those pages that maybe got 1 million followers, 2 million followers, 5 million followers. You simply DM them a simple script. Hey, how much for paid posts? And I'll put like a dollar sign emoji, because when they got a big following, they're less likely to check the DMs. But if they see the dollar sign emoji or something about money, them or their virtual assistant are going to check it. So then they'll send a poster of, hey, $50 per post or whatever. But some of the pages, let's say with 2-3 million followers, like for instance, I have one page that has 3 million followers. I built a lot of my business off of their page. I have a good following, but they have way more followers than people that have never heard of me before. So if they got 3 million followers, I had cut them a deal. I'll be super transparent. I cut them a deal, and it was, or they cut me a deal, however you want to phrase it, right? I pay them $7,000 per month for 12 posts on their page. So they post me 3 times every single week. So their followers got to see me every single week.
Yeah.
I'm not just giving them any posts. I'm going to my page, going to the analytics, seeing which reels did the best, did the most views, most comments. I saved those in a folder on my phone, in a folder called shout out videos. I send those all to them. Now they run them on their page. If that video did 20,000 on my page, they post some of my videos, they do 1 million. And then on that video at the end, I'm doing a call to action. If you like this video, make sure to come follow me, and I'll put my name on the screen. And then every time they post me, pretty much every time they post me, so 7K for 12 posts, every time they post me, I get 3,000 followers and make $3,000 that day from a $50 ebook. So therefore, I'm paying $7,000 to get, what's that, like 35,000 followers every month and $35,000. That's just one page. So imagine if you get a string, I got a whole list of like 30 pages where I'm running shout outs on all throughout the month. So it got up to the point where I was spending about 35,000 on shout out pages, but I'm spending 35,000 to make 120,000 per month.
Yeah. Talk about ROI.
Yeah. So
solid.
Those were like 3 really key things that I didn't know about until I got that last mentor.
Yeah, dude, that's super cool. The overnight posting thing is interesting. And one thing I really, really respect about your journey is the volume. Like, I think it's a really good testament to like volume is almost always the answer when done properly, of course. But like, let me preface this for everybody listening, because I'm actually fairly outspoken about this, and it's like probably the largest thesis in my business. But volume, when I'm saying volume, I'm adding that the precursor is that we're doing it sustainably so we can do it over the long term with the right actions. And you clearly are. Like, we all hear like, oh, Gary Vee will talk about, oh, if you're not doing like 2-3 posts a day, like step it up. Right. You're doing like 10, right? Like you're doing, I go to bed at like 9 p.m. and wake up at like 4 a.m. So you've posted 4 times before I wake up.
Exactly.
Right. And like that is a very, very impressive amount of content.
Yeah, and it's not even, as you mentioned, like when it comes to growing your social media or your online business, it's about the volume. So you got to post a lot. But during these times, as I'm posting a lot, I'm always looking at my stuff, looking at the analytics and critiquing myself. So as I'm posting 5-10 times a day, I'm also looking, oh, my camera quality's off. Oh, I need better lighting. Oh, the font on that, it didn't stand out a month. The coloring, I know red and yellow is the #1 coloring in marketing. I'm going to start using red and yellow fonts more. So I'm always very analytical about it. until it's perfected. And with those overnight posts, you're not going to get as many likes and as many views at that time. But those are people who may not normally see your stuff. You never know who you're going to touch that needs your product that you're offering. If you have a good product, they're going to want it, and then you're going to get testimonials. So one of the biggest things also that made me build my business is my phrases, and I change it every month. I post brand new dramatic testimonials every single day at this point, the time of this recording, for 2 years and 8 months straight, and I keep track of it. So every single day, you're going to see a new testimonial with the name in it, whether it's a video testimonial before and after, or it's a screenshot from a comment or from a DM, and I'll leave the names in it so you can verify I'm not making them up. I'm not using bots. And I tell people every single day, here's a new one. Here's someone else who no longer has high blood pressure, somebody off medicine, somebody that made X amount of dollars. And that's like my catchphrase. Because if you have testimonials, I don't really got to sell you. I let this person saying how great I am sell you for me.
Amen.
That's it. And I'll put my promotion at the end.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Dude, your page is very colorful. Like, did some of these, like the sunglasses, the outfits, like, is this
talk about that?
Yeah, is this like pattern interruption, or do you just have like a very eclectic style? Both? Like, what did that look
It's
like?
a mix of both. It's pattern interruption, because when you're scrolling, and if you watch my videos, the delivery is very I do everything to grab your attention. A key thing that you can do if you're doing social media is you should be holding something in your hand. And I got to get better at that. That's something I'm critiquing myself on, because I don't have enough videos holding something in my hand. Every time I hold something in my hand that has to do with the video, it gets 10 to 20,000 plus more views. So if I'm talking about coconut water, then instead of saying best coconut water is this, say best coconut water, pay attention. Like, I yell, I wear bright colors, I wear my do-rag tied to the side. I know it's younger people on TikTok and Instagram, so I wear a bunch of jewelry. I dress like the rappers. I just went and bought a McLaren because it's my dream car. Don't get me wrong, but I also know I'm going to use that now. I'm going to put the doors up. I'm going to set it behind me as I'm holding the fruit, as I'm talking about stocks or crypto or Airbnb. That's going to get more people's attention. It's pattern interruption. When you're scrolling, most people are scrolling for maybe 2 seconds on each video. And then you come to me and I got on a pink tank top and a yellow do-rag and chains and a McLaren behind me. And I'm yelling, pay attention. And I'm holding something in my hand. You're going to watch mine longer than anybody else's. And then at the end of that video, the last 15 seconds, every video, the last 15 seconds, there's going to be a call to action. If you like this video, make sure to click the link in my bio to get my ebook where I talk more in depth about this. So you always got to have a call to action. And some people may say it's salesy. And to that, I say, if you're not selling and someone's selling you, when you go to the grocery store, whether you get the mustard from this brand or that brand, you got sold because they use a different font. They paid more to put it on the front of the aisle. So you're getting sold in everything you do. When you stop at McDonald's, you got sold.
100%.
So I'm going to sell you just as much. And I ain't got billions to put into it like McDonald's does, but I got a voice. I can yell louder than them. I can wear brighter colors and I'm going to get your attention. That's my goal.
Yeah. It's so cool to have different conversations. Cause like, I think depending on the circle that you're in, like the people that don't understand this world will look at that and be like, wow, another douchebag with a supercar. And it's probably rented, right? But like, we could just look at the numbers and be like, the views are up, the ad costs are down, like net's way better. Like it just makes sense. So I'm gonna throw watches in the videos. I'm gonna throw cars in the videos. I'm gonna throw a house in the video, the travels. Like it's one of my early mentors, one of the first coaches that I hired. He's actually my speaking coach for a while. And he had the opportunity to learn from Ty Lopez, right? And he asked him, he goes, Ty, like, I gotta be honest, I hated you when I first saw your like here in my garage video. And I gotta ask you, like, what's the deal? Right. And his answer to it was so freaking cool. And I will never forget this. He goes, dude, my number one goal is to have more young men reading books than Oprah. So I asked myself, what do young men like? They like fast cars, hot chicks, and money. So I put all three in every single video.
It's
right?
Very true.
And like, dude, of course he's a memeable guy because he's here in my garage. By the way, I've seen the Lambo. I've been to the house. Like the shit was real before he moved out. Right. And like the Lambo was still there. So it ain't rented. But you know, it works.
It works. I was just listening to Grant Cardone on one of his new videos, and pardon me, no, I wasn't. My mentor that I paid 50,000, he paid to be part of Grant Cardone's mentorship. I think it's like 125K just to like set with him.
I have some buddies in that. They're balling.
Yeah, and he was saying that what he said
crazy.
was, I got this, Jet. Everything you have, use what you have. If you're a girl and you got nice curves, use it. But make sure you're not using it just to get followers. Because you can, like you mentioned, you can have a lot of followers. If you don't know, if you don't have your back end set up properly, you're always going to struggle. But yeah, everything I have, you can call me a douchebag while I'm paying my mom's bills. Like, I don't care. Because that was my goal. You can say, I get so many comments. Why are you yelling? Why do you wear all this crazy stuff? I would listen to you more if you, I can't take you serious. That's fine. Yeah, my goal is, Grant Cardone said this too. He said his goal is to get people to unfollow him. And it sounds crazy, but it made sense, because what he said was, the people who are going to unfollow you because they're offended from what you're teaching, they weren't going to buy your product anyway. So you can unfollow me. The people who continue to follow me, they're going to keep watching my videos. They're going to get more acquainted with me. They're going to want to invest in me. And I keep it super transparent. So like with the car, I'll put the McLaren behind me, but then I'll go live and I'll say, yeah, this is mine. I own it. It's not paid off. It's actually cost me, because I built my credit properly, $2,300 a month. So now it's more attainable to you. So now people, they feel like when you keep it transparent and you don't just act like, oh yeah, I paid it off, 200,000 out of my pocket, I'm balling. They like to hear that, because now they're like, oh wow, I loved it. I never thought I could get a McLaren before, but now that he told me that it's only 2,000 a month, maybe one day I can actually get one. And now they like me more for being honest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, that makes perfect sense. And the other side is, and then I want to pivot before we get out of here, because I want to be respectful of your time too, Tevin.
Yeah, I know we'll go all day. I talk a lot. Sorry.
No, me too. Me too. And I love this shit. So the other thing I just want to throw in here before we move on is like, you mentioned earlier, like, it's not just about getting followers, like it's about generating revenue, and we don't generate revenue unless we have a sustainable product that actually solves problems for people. Like, it genuinely makes people's lives better. And if we feel that that is the case, it is my moral obligation as a salesperson to not get off of that phone call if I feel like it will be a worse decision for that prospect if they do not enroll to work with us. Right. It's the same thing with content. If we genuinely believe in what we're doing, what we're selling, then we need to do what we need to do within moral integrity, of course. But like, we need to do what we need to do to maintain that attention, because we live in a freaking like pea brain attention span culture where it's like 0.3 seconds gets devoted before they're still scrolling. Like, you got to do something.
Yeah. That on top of the fact that, I believe, I always said, as many people are failing because they're uncoachable, right? So I have people that come to me. I've mentored a few people on social media. I tell them, keep posting. Oh yeah, but I post 5. I usually post once a day. Now I'm posting 5 and people are unfollowing me. So you're talking to someone who's making 6 figures per month from this system. And instead of listening to what I'm saying, as you work your 9 to 5, making 3,000 a month, you're talking back and saying how what I'm telling you is wrong. And this is the problem, is like, I believe most people are arrogant, which if you look up the definition of arrogant, it means false sense of one's own ability or skill set. So you can talk about, you can be an expert at stocks or crypto or real estate or Airbnb or health and fitness, and you'll talk and you'll still have people say, oh, I already knew that. Yeah, I've heard that. I know that before. That's your arrogance kicking in. And that's why you're never going to be as successful as you want, because sometimes you need to be submissive and you need to bow down. I had to look at myself in the mirror when I was broke and struggling and working a job that I hate and say, right now, I'm kind of dumb. I am broke. At that time, I was 275 pounds. I am overweight. I am unhealthy. First step in any therapy, right, is admitting. So you got to admit, and you got to stop being arrogant.
Dude, I love that. And I'm glad you put that out there, because it's like, dude, so often people invest and then they question, like, you invested in a blueprint. Why are you questioning the blueprint?
Exactly.
Like, you invest in the blueprint because you don't have the results that the blueprint provides.
Exactly.
So execute consistently. Don't try and make it your own. You haven't earned that right yet.
Yep.
Right. And well, you haven't earned the right to try and do that and then blame the blueprint. That's for damn sure. Mm-hmm. One thing I got to ask you, and then we'll kind of switch gears and let people know where they can find you and ask you the final question. But when you mentioned that you have VAs scheduling your posts, have you ever noticed that, like, number one, do you have them using a VPN? And number two, have you noticed that when they do schedule posts, if they're not using a VPN, does it throttle your reach on the various platforms?
That's a good question. I know that he uses a VPN. I don't know if it's changing the reach, because at this point on my Instagram, all my posts, almost, I want to say 96, I'll go as far as 98% of my posts are all reposts. So that's another key factor. If a video works, you should be posting it at least once per month. So a lot of my I barely make new content for Instagram now because I'm so focused on my university course. So I have a Google Drive file and I have all these videos that I've recorded over the last 10 years. I put them all in that file. I share that file to my VA. He just downloads them, reposts them. He may change the words on the screen if I'm doing a different promotion for the last 15 seconds and things like that. But it's like, it's content that's always going to work because I've proven that it works with the testimonials. But I know he uses a VPN, but I don't see the difference in my reach, because he'll still post a video that did 50,000. Sometimes he'll post it again. The reposts do better sometimes. So I'll post it the first time 50,000. It posts again a month later 100,000. So
maybe it's a VPN then. Like, we were toying with TikTok for a little bit, and it was a brand new account, and we would post, and I had one of my team members, he's in Venezuela, and he was posting it every single day, and like clockwork, every single video got between 185 and 215 views, every single one, like a very small range, right? And then I take it back over and I post it, and it would get like 700 to 1,000 views. So
that's interesting. To piggyback off of that, I never got my virtual assistant to do TikTok because I made an effort for him to do that, and he was never able to get in. So I would give him my login, and every time it would never work. So I thought maybe you just couldn't do that on TikTok. So it's interesting to know that you got it working. It just isn't working to your advantage.
Yeah, dude, I think it's based on the IP of the device, because
possibly,
I mean, it's so funny. Like, I'll get emails from Instagram and TikTok, and the emails will come in Spanish because my team members that are logged into the accounts are in Spanish speaking countries. Right. Or even like if I'm flipping between some of the accounts that we have, like we have my personal account, our business account for Results Engine, and then the podcast account. And I'll flip between them, and I'll, like, if something gets commented on my main account while I'm in the podcast account, the notification comes up in Spanish. So it's like, there's clearly something happening based on the IP.
It's something off.
Maybe they're serving the content based on the location. I don't know TikTok's algorithm. I don't think most people do. It's just freaking crazy.
That could be so, which would suck, because I'm assuming you're speaking English, so it's serving your video to Spanish speaking audience. And no more than 200 views on this.
Not great. But dude, this was awesome. Tevin, before I ask you the last question, where can people find you on social? Where can they check out what some of your ebooks, your courses, everything that you're doing? Like, plug away, my friend.
Yeah. So like I said, I go by T Walk the Hawk on social media. So it's the same on everything. It's just slightly different. So that's TWALKDAHULK. On Instagram, I have 2 pages because they keep flagging my pages. So T Walk Dog Fitness and then T Walk Dog 2. YouTube, you can search, same thing, T Walk the Hawk. TikTok, I don't post on there because every video gets banned literally immediately. So it's just all old posts on there. But the main thing I'm focused on right now is my Holistic Health and Finance University. So as y'all heard me talk about all the mentors, all this information I've gathered over the past 10 years to get to 6 figures per month, I wanted to do things differently and help people who were in a situation that I was in when I was broke and couldn't even fathom paying $1,000 for a mentor. So all that information, I literally have been putting it in the university for $1 per day, $29.99 per month. New videos every single month. There's over 20 hours worth of content. I do live consultations every single week on Zoom call. So you talk to me. There's a private Telegram group where I'm answering questions all day, every day. I've never seen this done before. So that's the healthandfinanceuniversity.com. And so that's my social media. And then that's my university.
Boom. Guys, all those will be linked up in the show notes. Get connected, show some love. You know the deal. Tevin, last question I have for you. Going all the way back. Growing up in West Virginia, growing up with some of the adversity that you did, right? brother selling drugs, dad on drugs, domestic violence, all of that sort of stuff, experiencing anxiety and panic attacks and realizing like, screw it, like I'm done with this. I'm going to move into that sales job. No more warehouse jobs for me. You get into that, you're commuting many hours each way, slowly breaking through, but really like up and down. You know, you hit a peak and then can't maintain the focus. You hit a peak and you can't maintain the focus. You go from gym to gym, eventually go back, experience the divorce, start selling roofs, move to Utah, selling solar, back into fitness, all over the place, right? But learning every single step of the way. Moving on to social media, cranking out stupid levels of content, and then finally like it clicking, right? And really starting to hit these crazy months, doing 120 a month, hiring all the coaches, the mentors, all the way to where you're at right now, right? This entire window, what's been the biggest lesson that you've learned that has yielded the most results and had the biggest impact on your life and in your business?
The biggest lesson through all that is don't stop. As long as you, every single day, you do something productive every single day. I can show you on my phone, literally. I have a to-do list pinned to the top. Like this is my to-do list. Like every day I have to do at least 3 to 5 things on my to-do list. And it's very unprofessional. I put a green check emoji once I complete it and a red exclamation point if it's not completed or if it needs to be, it's very urgent. So every single day, not stopping. If you do something every single day and you perfect it and you get better at it as you're doing it and you critique yourself and allow yourself to look in the mirror and say, that sucked. Next one's got to be better. Like it's no way that you're not going to be further along as the years go along. Just don't stop. You'll get better. Keep investing into different mentors. Keep watching. If I'm driving in the car, I'm not listening to a bunch of dumbed down music. I'm listening to some education, some mindset motivation, something on that has to do with my niche. So it's really just not stopping. That's really it. Like I don't know what else to say, but just don't stop. My other phrase, again, I like hip hop, so I always say at the end of my lives and in my group, I don't believe in if, try, can't, almost, or maybe. I get it done. No excuses, nothing to it but to do it. Point your finger in the mirror if you blew it. Take accountability. You got to take accountability.
There it is, folks. Tevin, thanks for joining me, brother. I really enjoyed this.
Thanks for having me.
100%.